What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of the MCE tutorial series. So in our last episode we covered our storage issues, and now with a storage full of all different ores and whatchamacallit, we need to start processing those ores. Now you could be a broke boy and we could just set up some coal furnaces and kind of go down that method, but in today's video, I want to talk about power generation or doubling and how to get our hands on some food. So, the first thing that we're going to need to go over is power generation. Now, I also want to talk about the storage bag. I love this little thing. It's kind of acts like a shulker box, and you can use it to organize all of your different builds and things that you're going to need. So, as far as power generation goes, I have two options here for you. The first one is the steam dynamo by thermal expansions. That's going to create, I think, 40 RF per tick, and all it's going to require is water and coal. And then we also have the coal generator. Again, you can look up these recipes using this. Look them up, look them up. We're just talking about items. But yeah, the coal generator will just take coal and it will generate power. So I'll go ahead and show you how both of these systems will work really quickly. Also, it's a good time to go over conduits. So there are different options when it comes to conduits and whatnot. Some are more expensive than others. So just to give you a quick overview, we've got fluid conduit. It's going to move our fluids. Item conduits, that's going to move items, and energy conduits, that's going to move energy. So pretty basic stuff. These are Ender IO, and although these are one of the more expensive conduits, there's a lot more processes that go into creating each one of these. They are by far the best because of one feature and one feature only, and I will showcase it really quick. You can kind of stack these all on top of each other in one block. And so let's say you need to, put water into a machine, but it also needs energy to run. Well, you can put water and energy into it all via one face. So it's not going to have cables going all over the place. That's why I love these. So if you can, I would start setting up a way to, or I would strive to use Ender IO conduits because they are just supremely better than all of these other options. Cyclic is very cheap for the early game. It can be nice, but you need two. You need one that extracts, and then you need the item cables themselves to move. They also have a wonky recipe. It is a cheaper recipe, but each one is unique in its own way. And then we have leadstone flux duct over here by thermodynamics. This is a cheap way to move energy early in the game. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get ourselves a setup here, and actually, let's grab a crescent hammer. So this is going to be helpful if you go the steam dynamo route. So let's say we want to set up some power generation, right? We're going to have our steam dynamo here, and we will have our coal generator here, and I'll show you guys the two options. So steam dynamo will only pump power out facing this way. Let's actually move this over a bit. So let's say we have ourselves an energy cell here. Energy cell by thermal expansions. It's a basic one. And we want to put power into that. Also, this is the most cheap battery, but again, I'm such an Ender IO fanboy. So if you can get your hands on a basic capacitor, those are pretty cool. They just look cooler too. I mean, that looks like kitty. This looks serious, industrial. But let's go ahead and put these away. Now, if we want to get power out of these, this one is going to need two things. It's going to generate slightly more energy, but it's going to need water into it. So the best way that I found to give it water is just with an aqueous accumulator. So this is going to be an infinite water source, and what we're going to do here is mine out some blocks, place our aqueous accumulator, we put water on two sides, and then if we place back our steam dynamo and go into its interface, it is full of water. So this is where it's going to generate power, and it needs an input, which is going to be coal, but we want it to be facing this way. So that red thing needs to be going into the energy cell, because that's the only way it's going to pump power out. There is no config for it. Oh lord, we got a little monster here. Let's do this. And that. Okay, perfect. Now, this one, you would just pump it next to any of the sides here. It doesn't matter. You don't even need to configure it. It will just work. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves some coal. So we pop some coal in here, and we can see that it's going to start pumping. So it's generating power, and that power is going into our energy cell. We can see that filling up. And it's going fast, not incredibly fast. Like we said, it's only going to be 40 RF per tick, but it's ticking away, and those ticks are going. And then we also have our coal generator here, and it is going to make CF crystal flux, which I'm pretty sure is a direct conversion into RF. This one is going to be using the Ender IO energy. What would that be called? Unit. Oh gosh, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. And that is infinity something. It's like infinity something. I don't know. But all you need to know is that the conversion is into RF per tick. When you hear people talking, they're always going to be talking in RF per tick. And you can look up conversion charts and stuff on the internet to kind of get an idea of like what the conversions are. But for all of the ones that I'm going over today, it is 1-to-1. So we'll be working with the same scale. So now, these are our power generators, and we're... What's going on, man? The world is getting crazy. Now would be a good time to explain that as the days progress on your server, you know, it gets harder and harder. More mobs will spawn, tougher mobs will spawn. But anyways, now that we've got our power here, we've got them going into these batteries. I would suggest having batteries. You could just hook up a coal generator right to your machine, but eventually your machines are going to stop needing that power and it's going to be wasted, right? Your coal's going to still be burning, but that power is going nowhere. It's just being wasted. If you take the time to build yourself either the energy cell or the basic capacitor bank, then you will have that power stored for later. Now we need to move this power, so there are a couple of options. Like I said, energy conduit is by far going to be the best. So I want to grab that out, and I would really seriously recommend against cyclic. I'm giving it as an option here because it is cheap, and if you're just trying to get things done quick and dirty in your world, that is an option. But also leadstone flux is an option. It's quick and dirty as well. It's just slightly more expensive than cyclic. Now, we will basically just be shift clicking these, and then once you shift click your machine, you can pull out. Let's see, will it interface with that? Yeah, so you could actually you can use these interchangeably, I'm pretty sure. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's go ahead and do that. So we've got our power generating, and now what is that for? What do we want to do with our power that we have? We are jumping out of the Stone Age where you would use coal like a peasant, and we are using redstone to, where is it? Ore process. So with all those ores that we have in our storage, we need to do something with them. So let's hook these bad boys up over here. So in my hands, we've got ourselves a pulverizer and a furnace. And you can alternatively hook them up over here the exact same way. Technically, there are Ender IO machines. You could use the SAG mill. And again, I am a fanboy of the Ender IO, so I would recommend these. There's just more you can do with them, but these again are gonna be cheaper. And then they also have the alloy smelter, but I will say the basic alloy smelter actually can't double your ores. So I'm putting these down here, but it's not gonna work the same way. Actually, I lied to you guys. The most optimal setup, really, depending on how much automation you would want to get out of this, would be something like this, where you get the SAG mill and the redstone furnace. So let's go ahead and go over here. This is going to be the most basic setup that you're going to need, and we'll go over it very quickly. So we've got our machines, we've got them hooked up to our power grid, our miniature power grid here, and it's not receiving power. So what could be going on? What you want to do is come over to your energy cell, and we need to configure this. So you want it to basically be configured to where it is on all of these sides except for this one. Now it is a little bit wonky here because I'm not sure which way we're facing, so I don't know what's left or right. We can just kind of determine by seeing where's the orange. that's interesting. So the orange is on the bottom, I'm assuming. And let's just start clicking away at these. So orange is going to be output. So we'll just put output on all of them. And then now it's not going to be inputting power, right? It's going to be losing power, but it's not going to be getting any. So we got to change this to input until we see this thing turn blue. So let's just carefully... Okay, so we don't want that one to be blue. And I wish they would have like a easier way to tell what is the front, because that is awkward. Actually, we don't want that to be blue, right? Wait, I'm losing it. Okay, so this one is this face, so we want that to be outputting, so that is going to be red or orange, and we want this to be inputting. So you can double check by checking, but yeah, blue is going to be taking in power from this, and then orange is going to be outputting power. We can really just change everything else to like disabled. And now we should come over here and see that we have powered our machines. And these ones are a lot easier to configure, and we will get into that here in a second, because it is going to help with full automation. That is the advantage of this machine. It is fully automated very easily. So the cool thing about these is that you put your iron ore into a pulverizer here, and what's going to happen is this is going to pulverize our iron, and boom, we're going to get 2 pulverized iron. So from 1 ore we get 2 pulverized iron, and each pulverized iron is going to make 1 ingot. So this will effectively double your ingots. If you have a stack of ores, you'll get 2 stacks of ingots. It is very, very nice. Now with automation, we've got this bad boy over here. So let's say we want to export to our right. What we would do is change this to export to our right, and it's not going. So the reason that is because this isn't set up to receive from the left. So if we set that up really quickly, it should receive our iron, and that will automatically, boom, start pumping iron. Now how we can get really crazy with this is making sure that the top here is set to input. So we can throw a chest on top and put our ores in there. That will be our input chest. And then we can make sure that this is set to output, and we can put a chest up there, and that will output all of our ores. And if we check, our 2 iron that we already put in will go. And now you throw that like so. Give it a second. Now we've got our chest up here, we've got our iron in it, but it is still not sending even though we set our input to the top. So what you're going to want to do is have auto input enabled. There you go. And this one should automatically, so they automatically have auto output enabled, but you will have to set up auto input enabled. And there we go. It is currently infinitely crafting us our iron, and you can do cool things like, say you have gold, copper, right? I don't like that one. Let's use that one. You can throw all of these in here, and it is going to eventually get around to it, and you will have all of your ores coming out here.